Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me and things are going well. You know, I set up the today's show. I set it up for 3 o'clock. But just then, when I was signing in, it said 2:05. So I hope that was just something, a little mistake, and you haven't been sitting here waiting for an hour. So hello everyone. Let me see who's here. Hi Mare. Hi Bonnie. You didn't get notified again. Numbers were good. Yay, Mare. I am so excited for you. That people don't realize that stuff, you know. Oh gosh. These appointments and the checkups, oh, we just hold bated breath, don't we? Oh, good for you for the numbers. So Marcia, first person here. Hello, our dear Marcia. And hello, Debbie. Oh, I'm glad you like the little birds. That was interesting because I was inspired by a different project from, in fact, if you like the original, I'll show you the original picture. And it is a quilt kit that is sold at Connecting Threads. So, but I wanted to make it my own, so I'll show you what I added to it. So, oh, it's so good. Bonnie, hi, sweetheart. Mitty is here. Oh, it's so good to see all of you. It was a really cute pattern from Connecting Threads. In fact, I think the kit is on sale now. And I have tried something with it that I'm not sure what I think, but I will definitely check. Now, where is... Okay, here are my papers. It's nice when I take good care with my paperwork. But, as so many of you sewers probably know, if you crunch a paper, just turn on your iron, wait for a minute, then you iron them. So as long as they don't have something on them that would melt or cause a problem, you're good to go. So because I don't like messy papers, I'm going to go ahead and iron this. Hopefully it is warm enough. Here we go. All right. I don't think I'd use steam because if you have a regular inkjet printer like I do, the colors would run. But now I have nice papers again. Okay, let me set up my agenda. So what a week it's been. Also, we want to reach out and say hello to Svetlana and our wonderful Ukrainian neighbors who we think of every day. And what we don't stop over there will eventually come here. And I think we have enough problems without having that. Although I think that is the final goal. But anyway, let's have a fun Sunday. Oh, I brought down yet another spool. Empty. I now celebrate my empty spools. And I will start hanging them up for this year. Looks like it's 3 so far. But my empty spools are a measure of progress, and that's a good thing. So later on when we do show and tell, I had a wonderful email from Meltem, and Meltem, as you know, is from Turkey, and I had written her to tell her about Mark and I somehow... Something on TV came up where it was an overhead view of Istanbul, and they showed this building that was amazing. And so I wrote her about it, and she wrote back this really detailed, wonderful history of it. You know, it's so funny. Anything that's 200 years here, we think, ooh, that's old. And then you look at an ancient civilization like Turkey and realize things are thousands of years old over there. So I always love bringing that information to you. Learning is one of the biggest joys in my life. And as long as I learn something new every day, I'm a happy girl. So, okay, let me get my desk set up. So, okay, this week I was busy. A couple weeks ago, I went to my doctor for my annual checkup, and the big news for me at the time was my weight was up a little, and I thought I was losing. So I knew at Christmas I was baking too much sourdough bread. I was making Christmas goodies that I ended up eating. So that part I knew, but I thought I had lost more, and I realized what I had done is probably gained more in December. So I am getting to the stage where it's just too hard to carry this weight. The older you get, the harder it is to move and add this much weight, and it is a problem. So so that's what the first thing that I was preoccupied with. And she talked about putting me on one of these new weight loss drugs. And I finally said, yes, I guess I'll have to do it, because as it is, I eat very little, but I don't move enough. And it's hard to move when your arthritis hurts, but when you don't move, it's hard to lose weight. And you still got to eat. So it's a little bit of a problem. And I miss baking my sourdough bread. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. But anyway, so I still haven't heard back as to how much the insurance, Medicare, and my Medigap program would pay. And those medicines can be very expensive, like $1,500 a month, which, no, I can't afford that. But I'm still trying to stick to a very healthy diet, and I've gone back to exercising, although boy is that slow. If I add a minute a day to my elliptical trainer routine, then I'm doing good. And you know, I always like to think, oh, I'll go out and take a walk. Well, I have asthma, and it is so humid out there today that the windows are all fogged up. And then it gets hot, or, you know, it's just, there's, you know, pollen was a problem the last couple months. So I'm doing the elliptical trainer, and I'm going to look into going to the Y. We have a Y that's only 2.5 miles from here. And that would be a good thing, because you can exercise at the Y no matter what the weather is. So, but what I was meaning to tell you is when they did one of my tests, there was a problem. And so she had me tested again 2 days later, and the problem was still there. So what she did was said, okay, you've had kidney cancer, so we've got to check and see all your systems below your waist. We're going to check. So I had to have an ultrasound done of my uterus and things, and inside-outside ultrasound, not pleasant, but important. And then I had a CT scan with and without contrast. So I did all that on Wednesday, and I was very nervous. In fact, I didn't really tell y'all. I didn't tell my kids either, because it was scary. The last time she said to me, we need to check you and see why you had a kidney stone, turned out that's when they found the tumor, and I had to have my major surgery and lose my right kidney. So all of a sudden, when she said, we need to do an ultrasound, I went right back to 5 years ago. And so I just kind of pulled in and got real quiet about everything. And Mark was telling me, don't waste your energy and time worrying. Wait till they tell you something, then worry. And so I tried real hard to do that. So anyway, all the tests came back, and yes, I'm an old woman, and but the main thing is there is a kidney stone that's in the lower lobe of the kidney, and so far it's not blocking the kidney output. But the kidney's good, all my organs are good. That is the good news. And but I'm going to have that kidney stone removed. If you only have one kidney, you can't afford to have it blocked off in any way. So I'm going in this Wednesday and to a urologist, and then they'll devise a plan. Luckily, the couple ways is they can, with medication and things, they can try to dissolve it. In fact, my doctor told me, in fact, let me drink some more, to drink 4 ounces of lemon juice a day. And so I have a sugar-free lemonade that I buy that in the dairy section, it's real lemonade and sugar-free. And so I put that in all my water. Hopefully that can help dissolve it. And, but if not, they can try to use medications and different things, or they can use ultra waves. I'm not sure if they'll do that for me since I only have one kidney. I don't know if there's any risk of damaging the kidney if they do that. And then the other way is they make a tiny incision in your back, go in there like with a laparoscopic camera, and take it out of the kidney. So I'm not sure which method they will use, but either way, I can deal with that. And like my doctor said, it's good, it's fixable. So that's what I'm sticking with. But I'm sorry I kept it quiet. I tell you what, I talked to Michelle, and she's such a dear, and I said, you know what, old age is not for sissies, and what can you do? So anyway, that was enough about that, enough about me. I just wanted to go over a couple things again. Let me grab this. Okay, come on. I just wanted to go over again that recently I made prosperity hens. And I don't know about y'all, but I love bells and I love wind chimes, things like that. So I made these prosperity hens, and now I love them. I finished off our embellished seascape, and I'm pretty happy with that. And so here it is, and it was something I saw in an ad, and I thought, I was inspired to try to see if I could make a piece of work that had the folds in it, all of the different folds, that had embellishments on it. So you can see that I have done beading, I have done hand embroidery, French knots, I have put shells, real shells on it. I appliqued turtles, and whoops, go the other way, Deb. I appliqued crabs, and I like how the one that was in the water, I got a lightest of that color and the darkest, and there's one in the water, and so I like how that turned out. So anyway, put sea turtles, baby sea turtles headed to the water. So that was fun, got that done. And it's surprising because sometimes I do projects on here. Hold on just a second. Pardon me turning my back to you, but I want to get this put back up. But I do projects not just because it's something I saw that I go, oh, I really want that. I do a project if I think that there's something in it that we can learn together by me doing that. And so I never know if I'm going to like what I'm doing or not. I know that sounds funny. I mean, I always usually like them. But the more I look at this narrow strip, let me pull this out. The more I look at this narrow strip sunset seascape, boy, do I love this. I love this quilt. So it is very, very nice. So now I'll put this back out of the way real quickly. But I just wanted to go back over and recap because I love when I finish projects. Now I just saw on here, I happened to glance, Polly, it depends on what the kidney stone is made up of. If it's a mineral or calcium type kidney stone, then the acidic acid, I think, what is it called? Citric acid in the lemonade can help dissolve it. So, okay, and what's with Sonia here? I'm worried. There's Meltem. Oh, thank you, hon. Sonia. Oh, my goodness, you had a brain mass and surgery and will need radiation and chemo. Oh, I'm thinking of you, Miss Sonia. Oh, dear Sonia. Everybody keep Sonia tucked close to your heart. That's a lot to handle, and just wanted her to know. And this, I believe, is the month of her daughter's birthday, so just kind of keep her close to your heart as she's going through this. You've had surgery? Oh, my goodness, hon. You'll need radiation and chemo. We will be thinking of you. Thank you for telling us, Sonia, because we're going to all put out our very best thoughts and just kind of keep you close at hand. Because, Sonia, we just love you to bits. So thank you for letting us know. But Mayor's doing good. Our Michelle is doing good because, you know, in the last year she's had another bout with cancer too and has had surgery and all these treatments, and most recently had corrective surgery, and as far as I know now she's back home, and so we've got a lot of good people that we love to think about and keep them close, you know. And our good fortune can help buoy others that are going through a rough time and show them just hang in there. We're here for you. So we will be thinking about you, Miss Sonia. And congratulations to Mayor for her good news. So, okay. Well, we're thinking about Miss Sonia. And you know, we are a community group. We care a lot about each other. And we might not visit in person, but we visit in our heart, and that's very important and it's very powerful. I know that sometimes when I get tired and think, oh, what do I have to put together for a show, I think I would miss the ladies too much if I didn't visit with them. And every time I finish a show on these Sundays, I'm buoyed. I'm just a little bit lighter, and I'm much happier because I've spent time with you. So thank you for being a part of our online community. Pardon me, I think I saw a hair float by. But especially through the pandemic, we found that these connections were so important to us. When you can't always be connected in person, that these are a wonderful, wonderful way to take good care of yourself. So let us make sure that we keep up with our Sonia. So I have had fun this week. I know one else. Oh yes, I got to show you something. Also in the finished work, because let's celebrate all of our finishes. So often we focus on what we haven't done or what we should do, and we forget to focus on things we've done. So once again, this is my 3D hand embroidery, which I ended up being very tickled with. And I'm trying to remember if I showed you. Let me bring my close-up camera in and show you one of the stitches on this. Okay, detail close-up camera. All right, whoops, come on, Deb, get back over there. I have the hardest time. Whoops, no, I don't want to exit. I want to go to detail. All right, so here, come down here. All right. Okay, here we are. But I want to show you this particular flower right here. This flower was my most recent one I did. And I want to make sure I showed you that it has these spokes. Now I left the center open because I knew I would put a lot of French knots in the center. But these here are the spokes. After I put the spokes in, I went and did a little yellow thread crosswise on the spoke, on each one of the spokes. It's important to have a contrasting thread because then you come back in with your embroidery thread and you come up from behind and go under that spoke, come around, go under this spoke, and you just go around and around until the flower is the diameter you want, and then you go back to the back of the fabric. And I thought this was the cutest thing. Oh, now you know what? Buttons are a good idea too, Bonnie. I love that. And so this was a very easy one to do. I found these were hard because if you catch them, see how they pop up? I ended up taking some of my tacky glue and tacking down the worst places. But look at this. If you catch this on anything, it'll pull it loose from below, and then you have a thread that's out of place. So I loved the look of 3D embroidery, but it has its own issues. This one, it looks so messy. I'm not happy with it. And this is the one where you came up and you put a straw and you did an overcast or buttonhole stitch on the straw, and it made these fluffy supposed petals, but it just looks messy to me. These, if you catch one of these threads, it'll accidentally pull, and then you can never get it back in place. The same here. Even these, do you see the little messy threads that got caught? So after you make these, I think you would have to immediately hang it or put it behind glass or maybe a shadow box. Yes, Joe says, exactly. Because if you leave it out, they're going to get caught. Hi, Pat, and hi, Miss Joe. Melissa Lamb, hello. It's so good to see you. Oh, thank you, Melissa. Melissa, welcome here. And we have a group IO group that we can I share all my patterns with and free patterns and things. But if you would like to join that, it's Our Time to Quilt at gmail.com. I need to go around to all of my old postings and correct the email because it used to be through a different internet provider. Okay, so I just wanted to say that even though these are cool, that they have, you know, they can move around and stuff, there are some problems. All of these little places are things that I caught with a rough fingernail or rough patch on my skin or needle as I was working on them. So, but that flower was cool. So I guess what I'm kind of trying to get back to, I'm thinking that I've got to really look at the 3D stitch. I've got to, before I do any more of them, I've got to look and say, how sturdy is that going to be? And, you know, new hobbies or new techniques are wonderful if they work and stand the test of time. And I'm just very concerned that some of these new ways, and you can look online, and there are some young people who are doing amazing things, and I'm all for new techniques and trying new things. But sometimes we might find that there are pitfalls with some of the new things. Might not be worth it. So, let's see. Oh, thank you, Miss Joe. Thanks for filling that in. So last week I gave you a free, I gave you a shortcut to a free pattern I gave you a shortcut to a free pattern from Tilda, and it was called Tilda's Kitschy Dolls. And I don't know how to. It's at tildasworld.com, and then just search for Kitschy Friends. So I finished my doll. When I got off the show last Sunday, I made sure to finish her, and here she is, and she's cute as can be. So I took some bead wire and twisted it. I used a bronze, and a copper wire, twisted it, and made her. I know, aren't Tilda's free patterns amazing? But this was pretty easy, and I even gave her gray hair, like mine. And so here she is. The most fun is, see the little tiny eyes? What you do is take one of your ball-pointed or ball-headed needles. You take and dip it in your black paint, and then carefully dot it for the eye. How easy is that? So I'm going to remember that tip. And then I took and made the glasses and got a little pair of pliers so I could try to get them just the way I wanted. Then barely stuck them underneath the fabric in the seam allowance with some nice strong tacky glue. I found there was one problem I had with making this little doll, but I started this last week and now she's finished. And one problem I had is no matter how much I stuffed the neck here, any pressure touching her, anything made made a crease in the neck, and her head would dip down. So I had these straws that came from a balloon display from my wedding last year. So what I ended up doing, I used it to do some stuffing. But what I ended up doing is putting a piece that goes from about here to about right here inside the doll that holds her head up. And you can see even on the back it wants to crease right there. But that plastic straw really works well. Now, one thing I have noticed, the thing I loved about Tilda's dolls is the arms and legs were nice and smooth and straight. Don't overstuff them. When you overstuff them, they become a little more lumpy and bumpy. But it's hard for me to not overstuff. I guess I just think, oh, I want her to be nice and firm. And so it takes more stuffing for me to do this than they say. They said 4 ounces. I would say 8. I did a different flower for her. They had a big flower that was supposed to go here. But I thought between her ruffles, her ruffle on the front and her gathered sleeves, I just was worried about putting a big flower here. So I took and cut out a flower from some fabric that I have. And I did a front and back of the flower, turned it inside out, stuffed the flower, and then did the stitching. Hi, Miss Mary! But isn't this just cute? Now, I've got to be honest. Well, and I put a 2-color dress, so I cut that pattern in half to have this color up top and down bottom. And I love the one Tilda did, but I just didn't have the fabric that gave it that happy-go-lucky, so I just kind of used what I had, and I like it. Oh, and I did some machine embroidery on the top and bottom of the skirt, and I found that having some glue handy really made it easier to sew things on because you could tack it in place. I love the fact that you sew 2 different pieces together so that you've got the booties and then the leg stockings. And here is the rest of the body under here that you just stitch the legs to. One thing I did differently is I put the arms inside the upper body because it said just to kind of put it up to the body and slip stitch, but I wanted to make sure that the arms would be firm And so that's that. But anyway, it was a very cute doll. You could get one done 2 days, you know, or one day if you just sat there all day and worked on it. But it was a lot of fun. I had plans on making one each for my daughters, but after doing this, I'm not sure. It's a lot of little work, you know, when you sew these up. And one thing they suggested, and I agree with, is draw the pattern on your fabric, stitch down the narrow legs and the narrow arms before you cut the pattern out. Just makes it much simpler, because you know, when you're trying to sew on a little piece of fabric, it keeps wanting to be pulled down into the needle hole. So I totally agreed with their suggestion. And then I used floss for the little gray hair. And oh, one thing I haven't done yet. Okay, I'll do this with you. I totally forgot about this. All right, let me grab my close-up camera, and I'll show you what it told me. I wish I had a Q-tip down here, but I'm not sure I do. I don't see one, but okay, let me now. Okay, do I have, oh, I see what I do have. So, whoops, pardon me. I should have moved the camera. I've got to learn to do this better. I should have moved the camera before I turned it on. I'm going to get a very tiny little paintbrush right here. And it said, take your makeup, take your blush. And so I'm going to use this little tiny paintbrush and gather up some blush, and then put, now this is so close of the color. Let me get another one real quickly. Let's try this color, because that color wasn't going to show. Alright, this is a wee bit darker, so let's try this one. And it said just put a little blush on her cheeks. That's cute. Okay, and then I'll put a little blush for chin. Maybe put a little bit on her forehead. Okay, blow the excess off. And there. That was pretty easy. Put the paintbrush back. Now, let me show you. She's got a little bit of blush. Just a little touch. And some, you know, if I can find the right pencil, a colored pencil, I might draw just a little bit of a mouth on her. But there we go. That was the last little part that they had mentioned to do. But I really like her. Now I have to decide, where is she going to live? So I've got to figure that out. But I think she's really, really cute. And maybe when my hands aren't, my arthritis isn't hurting, I'll make another doll for each of my daughters. So, and I'll let you see her little makeup now. She got just a little touch of makeup on. But with the color I used for the skin, it was kind of orangey to begin with. But there she is. All right, so I had a lot of fun with her. I'm going to sit her right back here so she can visit with us there. All right, so then this week I had a lot going on. All Wednesday was taken up. And oh, let me tell you, I went to the best clinic. It's in Kernersville, which is, I'm in Winston-Salem, and Kernersville is to the east of me. I'm glad I went. It was a wonderful clinic, and the ladies were so nice, and they made me so comfortable. So, and it was a lot nicer than going to the huge hospital complex and trying to figure my way around that. And not nearly as busy, and I didn't have to wait as long. It was great. All right, so this week when I had a day that I had some hours, and I went in and worked on my daughter's wedding quilt, the one that's 16 years late, and but I worked on that. I'm making really good progress, and I'm absolutely tickled that in this 16, 17 years, I'm a better quilter, because it just, things make more sense. It's the best way I can describe it, is the longer you quilt, the more quilting makes sense. I remember when I first quilted, I would look at some of the patterns and wonder, how did they do that? And then, you know, there's that point of realization where you say, oh, break it down into its basic components. If you do that, you can figure out just about anything. So that was really good. And now, just understanding that 17 years, I understand how fabric works better. So I know that if I have to go around a corner, I pin it slightly differently to let the fabric relax. And then when you sew, you turn it around, you've got a much better result. So then I did find that in working on doing those curves, I really had to take the time to pin. I'm not known for my pinning because I'm not patient, but you can't do a good curve without a pin. It's just too many ways for the fabric to get, you've got a bias that you end up working with for a short period of doing that curve. So you put a pin in the middle to put your whatever you're going to sew onto the curve, or the curve onto what you're going to sew. You've got to have a pin in the middle and a pin on each end. If you do that and then gently ease the fabric in as you go around, it's a snap. So I learned to just keep my 3 pins right there and to be able to use them. And I'm sorry I keep scratching my back, but it was like something was tickling me back there. All right, now then I took some time to work on last Monday. Mondays are my day off because I work for days trying to prepare for the show, and Monday is just like I do what I want for me, and that's really helped. And it's been nice because with Mark retired now, I have the luxury of doing that. And a lot of times he'll take off with me and we just enjoy our time. So retirement's working. I love it. But anyway, on Mondays when I take off, that is a play day for me. And I felt like working on that sewing room miniature dollhouse. I love those. In fact, my daughter Katie gave me the idea of, as I lose weight, treat myself with a new miniature dollhouse. And I'm going to do that. I love those things. I love building the little furniture out of the pre-cut pieces of wood, and I just love everything about it. And I'll give you a hint. If they include little bottles of paint for you to paint certain things, use your own. That is the cheapest, crappiest paint ever. So I keep my own acrylics. I'll use my own, and I can mix the colors myself. So, but I love those little kits. I love whoever is the designer put such thought into it. It's wonderful. So anyway, I love those kits. So I worked on that long hours on Monday. It was fun. I'm hoping this Monday, tomorrow, I can have it finished. Then on days during the week, especially before I had the test, I found it helped to work on my paper beads. Paper beads are free because I use junk mail, junk paper. Like, you know, after I print something like this to read to you, then that's a good base for a bead, and I'll use pretty paper on the end and But I found that when I'm nervous, when I don't want to concentrate because my mind is kind of very busy, I work on paper beads. And that is just, paper beads are not going to change my life. I'm not going to make a fortune on them. It's just something mindless, busy work. And I love what Kate Jackson of The Last Homely House says, that take it out of your mind and put it in your hands. And that is so true. Keeping my hands busy is better than any medication, better than anything. So I do like staying very busy. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, in the last 2 weeks, I even had a colonoscopy. It's been a fun 2 weeks, hasn't it? I feel a little bit like a pincushion. I've been stuck and pricked and everything, you know. But anyway, so anxious times are good times for paper bead making. And there are some great people out on YouTube that have paper bead information, and I have one from some years before. At some point I would like to make a new paper bead because I actually want to show you more about using fabric beads. Oh, and I saw in the latest Quilting Art magazine, I saw using fabric to make pillow bead bracelets. And I've been wondering, how can I make bracelets? And the pillow bead is perfect because you can have it on and it won't, like sometimes with these beads or with like stiff resin, it when you lay your hand down, it presses on your veins and stuff. With the pillow bead, it's going to be easy. So let me write this down. I'm going to make sure that I make the fabric pillow beads, and of course I'll show you. But if you have the spring issue of Quilting Arts, check it out. Pillow beads. Okay, I'll remember to do that. And so let me see. All right, yes, okay. So then I'm going to show you. I forgot to do this last week. Every July, I give you a free class, and we do it on a free format called Jitsi. It's a lot like Zoom, except there's not a time limit. And so we meet Monday through Friday for a set number of hours, and we'll try to record it. So if you can't be there or you miss one, you can come back and catch it. So what I'm going to do right now is take you to show you the pictures of the patterns I'm considering for this July's class. It's a free class. I teach you for the week just out of fun. And so I've got to, got it. Here's show and tell. So here it is. Nope, not yet. Hold on. I'm sure I did it. 1 second, I'm trying to look. I put it in place here. Oh, I know why. I'm in the wrong folder. Okay, so let me come to... All right, let me bring up the class photos. And I just need to grab one and come put it over here. I try my best to pick a quilt that, okay, let me see. I try my best to pick a quilt. There we go. I try to pick a quilt that you can get a free pattern for, because that makes it easier. So here is number 1. This is a Deb Tucker, number 1. So if you're here and if you'd like to get a vote, then grab a little piece of paper, number it 1, 2, I think about 6. So here's number 1. It's the Deb Tucker. All right, now usually she has rulers that you use with these. And here's the fabric, but I don't think we're going to really need a ruler with this one. All right. Okay, so she has a ruler, but it looks like a 6-inch ruler with diagonal. I'm sure she has some a specific one that goes with it. But anyway, here is pattern number 1. All right. Now, here is one that I found a year ago, and I thought this was really pretty. It takes 2 different colors of, well, one white, one gray background, and then these colors for the pieces. This is another free pattern from Andover. You can always use your stash. It's entirely up to you. So this is number 2, and it's called Glaze. All right. Now let's go see pattern number 3. Here is number 3. This is from Robert Kaufman. This says skinny strip friendly, and actually I do have a jelly roll that this would work well with. So this is done by cutting strip sets, and here is this one. So this is called Kite Flight. Okay. Those are templates right there that you can use. All right, so this is number 3, Kite Flight. All right. Now, I do have the Sparrow quilt that I took from the class in January, but that requires a purchased pattern. It's $10, which is not prohibitive. Here is another one. This is from RJR Fabrics, and it's another free pattern, and it's called Tulip Time, and it's a Lone Star. So here, let me bring this down. Here is Lone Star, a Lone Star quilt called Tulip Time. There are the applique pieces. Here are the templates for those. Okay, so here is Tulip Time. All right. Now, and please understand that if you don't want to start a new project, you can just bring the project you're working on and work on it while we're doing this. This is I'm pretty sure this was a free pattern yet from Red Rooster Fabrics. It is. So here is this. It's called Root and Fly. Root and Fly by Flora Bowley. And that's a lovely, lovely quilt. And here it goes. Okay, this is copyright 2015 from Red Rooster Fabrics. All right, quilt size is 72 by 84. That's a big quilt. Okay, so number 5 is Root and Fly. Okay, and then our last pattern. Okay, and I think this one may be one that has to be purchased. I'm just not sure. I'm pretty sure it does, but we'll see. All right, Snail Trails al fresco. Okay. Now this one says you need 2 peaks and 1 triangle quilt ruler, which, well, but I think we could make up our own template. We'll see how that, because I try not to have you purchase too much. Here's the 2. I have a feeling if you have a spiky and what are they called? The 2 rulers that work together, which spiky and something else, if y'all remember. And oh, Bonnie, I know what you're saying. Okay. So, but here we can make templates to do this. So here it is. Here is this pattern called Snail Trails al fresco. I wish I could make this. And it's a 62 by 62. That's a pretty good. Peaks and spikes. Thank you, Bonnie. Yes. Or Tri-Rex. There you go. So here it is. And yeah, we'll make sure that we work on, if you need any kind of ruler, that we can have a good template. And this one is called Snail Trails al fresco. Okay, so that is all 6. Also, you don't have to do the entire quilt. You can just do a block and make a pillow out of it. We're very flexible. Okay, so now I'm going to have you, okay, I wish I had just the photos. What I would like for y'all to do is to go ahead and like I say again, don't worry. It's fun for us to get together. So you don't have to even take do this quilt. Just come with whatever you're working on. But the first one was the Deb Tucker. Let me see if I can quickly bring that up. The Deb Tucker, and that's this Twilight Path. I was going to try to, no, it's a, yeah. So this is the Twilight Path, Deb Tucker. Then, there's my cursor. Number 2 is Glaze. That's number 2. Number 3, Kite Flight. Here's Kite Flight. Very easy using strip sets and templates. Okay, Kite Flight. 4, Lone Star Tulip Time. Lone Star design quilt. This quilt is 96 by 96, so I think we'll have to find a way to make that smaller whenever we do that, because I don't need a quilt that big. Okay, Root and Fly, which are the cute little flying geese. Root and Fly. And then number 6, Snail Trail al fresco. And it's this picture right here. Okay, let me see. Wish I could make that part bigger, but all right. So now if you have a vote, I'm going to write your votes down. So vote by number 1 through 6, and okay, Melissa, number 6. Okay, I've got 1 vote there. I'm thinking it would be possible to reduce the root and fly. And what I would do, if that's the one we pick, I would work on reducing that. Cheryl Hogan says number 6. And Pat says number 4. And the tulip time, for anyone who would want something smaller, that's good too. Whoops. Pat said number 4, 6, 6, 4, 2, and 6. All right. Mayor says 5. And thank you for voting, because this way it's nice. That way, one, because number 6 is similar to the one you're already doing. Ooh, way to go, Miss Bonnie. We want pictures. I wish Joni were here. I'll have to email, let me put a note to email Joni. She does our classes every year. Okay. Debbie says 5 or 6. Okay. I really appreciate you voting for this. Because right now it's looking like Snail Trail al fresco. And that's a happy choice for me. And Marcia says 5 is good. Okay. 5 is in second place now. Pardon me while I pick up my pen. I guess I got excited. Ah, okay. Any other votes? Any other votes? All right. So while I'm really close to these pictures, I want to take a moment. You can still continue to vote, and I will check your stuff. I wanted to come to the, I wish I knew how to say it. I'm just going to have to do it phonetically, but let me see if I can drag it. Hagia Sophia, which is the mosque from Turkey, right here. I love this. So as I said, Mark and I were watching some show where they were flying over Istanbul. And this is the Hagia Sophia. And I'm so... Oh, Barbara said yay on number 6. Okay. And 1/4 of 2. That's so cute, Miss Mary. Okay. So, and thanks for speaking up, Miss Barb. We're tickled to see you. And earlier I put my email address if anyone wants to join our Groups.io. It's a free group that we just get together and share all of our information. And that email is also good for if you'd like to share any of pictures of your garden or your quilting or your crafting. We love it. So here is the Hagia Sophia, and I love learning new things. I mean, this is a great, big, wonderful world. So thank you, Meltem, for spending all the time to give me this information. You are a dear heart to us. So it says, yes, this mosque it's built as a basilica patriarchal cathedral by the Byzantine Emperor Justinian. the First between the year 532 and the year 537. And then after the conquest of Istanbul by the Ottomans in 1453, it was converted into a mosque by the Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror. It served as a mosque and a charitable foundation for 481 years. However, during the Republican era, it was turned into a museum. So, oh, this is amazing. Oh, wow. Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror made a special rule or supplication she used for those who might attempt to alter the status of Hagia Sophia, which was a symbol of the conquest and a charitable foundation. If these charitable institutions should ever be destroyed and rebuilt a second or third time, and so on, all of the matters I have described and designated have been established as charitable endowment in the manner written in the deed. That's really neat. These conditions cannot be changed, the laws cannot be altered, their essence cannot be diverted from their intended purpose, the established rules and principles cannot be diminished. Interference with this agreement is forbidden as any other of God's prohibitions. So this is really interesting, and to think so long ago these things were written down to protect the building and its charitable cause. So that's fantastic. So they said the Ottomans traditionally turned the most significant structure of a conquered city into a mosque and charitable foundation, but this should not be misunderstood. They never closed down churches or synagogues. No non-Muslims lived in peace and security in the Ottoman Empire, and they continued to worship in their churches or synagogues, and they still do today. So, until the year 2020, Hagia Sophia was a museum. Later, it was transferred to the Presidency of Religious Affairs, the Diyanet, and on July 24th, 2020, it was reopened for worship after 86 years with the first Friday prayer, attended by the President in a grand ceremony. So, they said what once seemed impossible was achieved after 86 years. The thrilling thing is, she said the next time she visits it, she will take more pictures for us. So, I find that fascinating that so long ago in the history, this thing was built and has remained through all kinds of changes that have happened in the globe. So I'm just fascinated. That's wonderful. Thank you for taking that time, because now we just learned something. And every time I see magnificent structures, I wonder if there is a mosaic floor or something that would make a beautiful quilt. So, yeah, I got your vote, Mary. I sure did, hon. So, isn't that interesting? But, okay, now let's come back to the main screen. And I have been working on our latest quilt. And here is what I've gotten done to this point of our newest quilt. And this is the Birdies on a Wire quilt that we've started. So, let me bring the camera down and show you a few things. I dropped that pen again, but it's going to stay down there. All right, let's go to the detail camera. Well, let me get the detail camera in place so I don't make anybody a wee bit dizzy. All right, so here we go. Okay, here we go. All right, so I've got my light board, some fabric, some steam-a-seam. I was feeding my birds this morning and I saw this cute feather and I said, it looks like a little cartoon feather. It's so cute. I said, use it on your birdies on a wire quilt. So here we go. Here is what I've done so far. All right. The first thing I did was got a piece of muslin, put fusible interfacing on the back. And let me bring over this camera too so we've got some lighting. Put the fusible interfacing on the back. Oops, here's my patterns. All right. Now, I love it when the quilt kind of, they say in, I'll call it break the fourth wall, but here what I did first is, let me bring the camera up a little bit. So I had my muslin right down here. Onto the muslin I used fusible and put a little patch of grass. Now that's something I hadn't shown yet. And then here is the piece of sky fabric. I thought about painting the sky fabric, but then I kinda wasted too much time on the computer. So I said, okay, scrap that. Now the reason the border is so big is I'm going to have it wrap around to the back again. So I don't want any binding showing. So it's really, let me go ahead and fold it under so you get a better idea of what it's going to look like. But I want it to fold the back and encase the back. So it's going to be like this. Okay. And this came from a cute kit that I saw on Connecting Threads. Okay. Now, what I did, and I'm not sure I'm going to stick with this or not. I'm really trying to decide. I used wool for these birdies. But the color is not quite as bright as I would like because of the wool. So I'm just trying to consider, Now, what I did first, let me find the original picture of this quilt. Let me go to here. Okay, birdies on a wire. All right. Now, let me go back up to this. Okay, so I had the pattern. Where's the original photo? Here's the original. Okay, here is the original quilt that I saw on the Connecting Thread site. And the reason I was drawn to this quilt is the birds are so cute sitting on the wire. They're just precious. And these are made of wool, but they are a little brighter, I think. I don't know. But see all of these embroidered flowers down here? Well, that's been a theme that we've been working on, is embellishing our art quilts. And I love, 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 love this little light touch of hand embroidery down here. So this was the original, and now I'll show you. Then here is what I drew. This is what I turned it into. And what I did is I looked up all kinds of birds, and what I ended up finding, you couldn't get the PDF patterns to open. Uh-oh. I will definitely check, honey, because if there's something wrong, I'll try to work on it again. But I looked up all different kinds of stylized birds and fell in love with these. And even with these, I added some of my own changes and touches. But I just searched the internet, added. I also wanted there to be a branch and some leaves in the picture too. So I added this in. And this is what I came up with. And I don't have the 8 birds, I have the 6 because I wanted the birds to have a little bigger presence and a little more personality. So this is the original of my drawings that I did. Then after that, close this down. This is on one regular size sheet, letterhead, whatever, not sheet of paper. Then what I did is I took and made it bigger, and this is the size I have now, which is like 15 by 17 or something like that. So here is page 1. Then whoops, where did I go? Let me see. I didn't mean to be here. Let me close this down. Come on. Well, I'm gonna try this. But like I said, whoops, okay, so I moved that. Oh boy, I forget how to do. Okay, but anyway, I went ahead and did the, here's page 2. Now, I accidentally slid that picture over earlier, and how did Mark tell me to move it over? That's a little bit better, but not enough. Output. Well, that's a little bit closer. Scene collection. Okay. Well, when Mark comes back, I'll figure that out. Okay. So, now I'll go back to detail. Oops, that is definitely too big. Scale to window. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go back to, okay. Here, okay. So what I did is I used my light board to draw the pattern through, and there are going to be lots of French knots, because these little Queen Anne's lace flowers are going to have a French knot on the top of each thing. But I love these. I love the red that's going to be in here. I tried to choose as bright of a, let me move this over just a little bit. Okay. I wish I could move this. Okay. But anyway, I tried to choose as bright a colors on here as I could. I'm not sure if they're going to be bright enough, so I might switch them out. I added this instead of just a little line. I was thinking about doing an embroidered line, but I ended up finding enough different colors of wool that, and if you don't have wool, you can use acrylic felt, you can use flannel, or you can use regular cotton fabric. And then I picked this. It's kind of a bright border, but I'm going to try to make it work. Then I found this wood type fabric that I'm going to use for the branch, and I'm going to try just to use this part in here. And then I found this with so many different kinds of leaves on it, and so I'm going to cut the leaves out here and get a lot of different variation of the leaves. But now what I want to show you is I'm going to plug in my light and show you how I go about, because I've already used the light box to, okay, I've already used the light box to draw the pattern on the muslin, then draw the pattern again on the other, let me see, I'm trying to get this to go in, here we go. All right, so let me plug this in. I love this little light box. Thank goodness some prices have really gone down on these. All right, so now I'll move this out of the way. What I'm going to do is take the large pattern, lay it down on this, and then take, next I want, whoops, hold on just a second. I'm going to take the steam seam and I'm going to make a copy of this branch. I'm going to have to do it in 2 pieces, I'm pretty sure. Don't quite have enough. I can, let me see. I always like to be very careful and not waste my steam seam. Alright, so I'm going to come up here and do this branch. And I know this is probably a little hard for y'all to see. Okay. Oops. Alright. Come down. And it helps when you make these patterns to make the line dark enough to show through. Now let's say you don't have a light box. You can tape the paper, tape the pattern paper onto the window, and that will help you. You can, now let me do, whoops, better mark exactly how far I went down. Okay, so I'll put a little tick on the pattern so I know where to start the end of this branch. Alright, and I'm going to do it right under here. Okay, right under here. Alright. Okay, now where's that tick mark? Right there. Alright. Okay. Alright, so then I'm going to take my paper scissors and I'm going to cut this out. Okay. Feel free to make any adjustments that you wish to when you're cutting it out, because this is going to be your quilt and you get to do exactly what you want for yours. Alright, then I'll come back and pick up this little piece down here. Now, I just realized I'm not doing this backwards, which I'm kind of supposed to be doing. So I'm going to have to be careful how I put this steam seam on the fabric. So, let me show you what I mean, because normally you would reverse it so that when you put this on the back of the fabric it still shows right. But I didn't do it that way. So, I want to move I'm going to move this light box because I'm going to turn on my iron. Okay, here we go. Alright, so I'm going to make sure that I use just the middle part, and that's going to work. You have to put it on the back. So now what I'm going to do is go the opposite direction. Whoops. So what I'm going to do now is put this on going the opposite way. That way, once I iron it down, I will then be going the correct direction. Come on, paper. Now there are several different ways to get paper off of this. Let me show you. This is a good teaching moment. The best that I've ever found is take a sewing pin and score that fabric, because I used to try with my fingernails to lift up that edge and it was hard, but scoring it just, oh, I took a class and I told the teacher, thank you so much. I said, that right there was worth the entire class. That was worth the price of admission. All right, so I have to put this up here. And I love the steamosine too because it's sticky. I've got to tilt this just a touch. Gotta make sure you don't want to stretch it out. You want to just kind of, whoops, lay it down gently. Make sure you keep the paper on or else it's going to stick to your iron and create a mess. So put it down like this and then there you go. You got that. So then I'm going to come get the other piece and it now has to go this opposite direction like this. Okay, and make sure you got the yellow so you know you're peeling off the right paper. All right, now this paper was coming loose. I just have to get it off the back. All right, and then I put it right here, and it looks like I've lost the little tip of the glue part, so I'm going to come over and grab this piece and tear off this. So now I've got the glue that was on this little old scrap, and I'll put it right under this. Okay, there we go. And since it sticks out just a touch, I'm going to take and put this extra piece down to cover it so I won't mess up my iron. Make sure the paper is in the right place, covering up all this adhesive. And now if you have an ironing sheet or pressing sheet, get this right first so you know it's in the right place, but you can use a pressing sheet to do the same thing that I'm doing. Okay, so now I come along and I press this on here. Very good. All right, now I'm going to do this real quick. It's so much easier to cut it out if I don't have the whole piece of fabric hanging on. So I just want to show you, if you haven't done stuff like this in a while, it kind of, there's this little learning curve. It's not hard, but it's helpful to remember a few things. Okay, peel off this. It's a good thing I put that on because obviously there was some sticking out. All right, now I can get rid of my landscape fabric. And I hope I was in camera range when I just did that. I didn't look. I always forget to check. All right, so now I'm just cutting out. And this is going to be raw edge applique. You can do that when you use a fusible, and if you ever notice there's a little bit of roughness to the edge, then I suggest you get some good fray check. And oh, another thing I've been working on when I can here and there is the border for my sparrow quilt. So I am needle turning the applique on the border for that sparrow quilt. All right, here we go. Now this is going to run right up in the border. I love it. This is going to run right, yeah, from right there to there. Okay, so now let me see. Oh, the paper easily pulls off, not a problem. I'm going to pull off the paper and get ready to iron this in place. Now when I iron this in place, that's going to put a definite decision on the width of this border, because this is going to be at the edge. So I'm making a decision here. Okay, so the border is going to be that wide. All right. And I love the steam seam also because you can press it down like this and then come along and iron it down. So this is where it's going to be. And you could pull it off after this and move it, but you're going to have to use new steam seam. So here is the branch now. And then something, I don't know what it is, something on this shirt is itching my back. Oh, I don't know what stuck to it. All right, so here's my branch now on this edge. Then what I'm going to do, move this to the side, but I think it's going to be cute to kind of pull in something else. Like I have this tail that comes over the edge a little bit right here. This beak that comes over down bottom when I do my hand embroidery. Some of these grasses and flowers are just going to come over the edge. I just love doing stuff like that. And then I am going to use that little birdie feather and act like it was just falling down. You know, it'll be somewhere down here. And I think that's going to be really cute. All right, so now we've got this. And the next thing that I would do, and you see how easy it was to do that branch. The edges, since they fusible, comes all the way out to the edge. Then it should work really, really well to keep the edges from fraying. All right, so now I come back to this and turn it on. Then I just place the paper part of this, and here I just try to save as much. I put it up close, save as much as I can while I'm making these patterns. Alright, I come up here and fit this one in. And what I'm going to do for the little pieces of branch that hold the leaves, I'm going to do hand embroidery. So there's a little branch right here, and I'll hand embroider that. And that brings the hand embroidery from areas near the bottom of the quilt to the top. So I just go along, keep drawing these, then cut these out, put them on fabric, and then fuse those on. And what I'll probably do, I can handle you have to sew over top anything fusible. So what I might just do is use my invisible thread, which is a monopoly, and do zigzag over these, over the branch. Or if I wanted to give it a folk art look, I could do a blanket stitch. So I just have to decide, if I do a blanket stitch, do I want to do it in black thread or matching thread? But here I'll probably just use invisible thread to stitch down either side, because it's a good general rule never to trust fusible forever. You know, it's like if it got too warm, you just don't know. But I think having bright green leaves across here are going to be really pretty. Then I've still got to make my eyes. I'm going to use the same technique that I'd learned with the doll of putting black paint here, because these birds have little eyes. But put black paint, dip it in, dip it down, wipe it off, dip it again, put it down, I'm going to do that same pattern for the eyes for this one, because I did birdies with just little, they're supposed to have just little black eyes, and I think they're cute. All right, is there anything else? So this week, one thing I'm going to do is I'll put the leaves on. Then I'll do this line right here, and their little legs are going to be embroidered. Okay, so I'll hand embroider all of this. I will sew the leaves and stem down with invisible thread. The leaves, to give them a cute look, will have the vein running down the middle. That will be done with hand embroidery. Then on the chest of the birds, I might do some hand embroidery stitches here. You could also put a couple little stitches on their wings. I will paint the eyes. And I want to, all of this has to be stitched down. I might end up just doing the invisible stitching, because that's a lot of hand stitching. And so I'll also do this line. Then I'm going to go ahead and next do my embroidery. Now that might sound odd, because I have not done any quilting of this, but I don't want my messy back of my embroidery stitches to show outside of the quilt. So it's best if I go ahead and do this. Now, after I do that, whoops, go off light. After I do that, then I'll do my quilting, because I'll have all my components on. I'm going to make sure that I don't do quilting over this. So I'll do quilting all around, and I might do a row of quilting but stop around these threads. I don't want to yank a thread. I want to make sure that's good, but I'm going to, by that time I'll decide exactly where my border is and only quilt to the edge of the border. Quilt in here, quilt around the birdies. I don't want to quilt up over these birdies. And you know what, I forgot, I had thought about putting stuffing under them, but I can still do it before I quilt and put it right behind them, right back here. I don't know, I'll decide. But then I'll quilt it. I've got to get batting and a backing. I'll quilt it, and then these will be turned over to the back and tucked under. So I think that's it. Now, if I were going to put any beads on it, anything that sticks out from the surface, then that's hard, I would then do that after it's quilted. But I think I'm going to do all the hand embroidery so that that's all tucked in and hidden when it comes time for this to be quilted. Then after it's quilted, I'm not sure what the backing is going to be, but pretend this is the back. I will bring this over like this. I will tuck it under like this and hand stitch it down. Or yeah, hand stitch it, because I am no good about stitching from the back and hoping it matches up with the front edge. It doesn't work with me. So I'll do that, and this I will miter by going like this and tuck this. I'll probably cut actually this, bring that and have a nice mitered edge on the back. So, all right, I'm hoping this makes sense to you. And in fact, up here I need to cut this off like I did here. So well, I didn't do this side yet over here, but anyway, I'll cut it off somewhere just past this seam allowance right there. All right, because you don't need all of this, but I will make sure that batting will fill up where I'm going to turn this over, the batting and backing will go all the way under here. And that way you have an evenly filled border all the way around. This is just a cute little project to hang on your wall to celebrate the beginning, the end of spring, the beginning of summer, and something that probably you can get done in a day or two. And well, maybe a little bit longer with the embroidery. But I really have loved this last year bringing in things that we can embellish. And I think that will be a lot of fun. And if you want to, you can hand embroider a little butterfly flying by. You could hand embroider a little tiny caterpillar on the little weeds. And with this, what I did was just cut a strip of what I wanted the background to look like, and just kind of just hand cut the way I wanted it to look. And then I just laid it, put the sky behind it, laid it down, did the fusible. Now it's done. And I like it. You notice I picked something very pale, so there wasn't a sharp line, but I like that. Alright, I think this is it for today's project. And I'll show you the finish next week. But I'll have something else for us to look at for next week. But I think that this is a cute little fun project that you can work on, and it's very doable. It doesn't use much in the way of materials or your time, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I hope you will, and there it is. Alrighty, so now we'll just go quickly. Oh, I know one other thing I was going to tell you. Let me come back to the main camera. I have not this year, let me move that lamp. I have not this year yet made up my summer fun time schedule, and I will be doing that. I do know that last year I promised you I would do paper making, and I didn't, so I've still got that to do. And I think I'm going to do some ice dyeing. And so we'll do that together, and I'm going to show you how to make homemade paper. I've never made it before, but I've watched enough videos on how to do it. I can't wait to do it. Some of the things I'm going to enjoy are collecting flower petals to put in the paper. I think that would be really, really pretty. So I will show you what's involved with that. And I don't know, I haven't even thought about, usually summer for me is like, yay, school's out, summer, let's play. And I'll make a list of all the things I want to get done. And I know the first thing on the list is finish cleaning this room. That would be really helpful. But let's go to now. I think that is it for this week. I'm going to go show and tell, and then I'll be right back. So let's do show and tell. If anyone knew, Michelle Lang is here. Love it. What are the measurements of the wall hanging? Yes, I do believe 15 by 17. Let me double check that. That's the first measurement I wrote down, but it might not include the border. Alrighty. No, it is. It's 15 by 17-ish. Because you can make it whatever you want. But, the older I get, the more I realize, make things small. I'm running out of space to put them out there. So, anyway, okay. Let me clean up, and let's go see show and tell, and then we'll be right back. Okay. Whoops. Still need the glasses. All right. Whoops. Oh, I know. I have a picture to show you too. I absolutely All right, here we go. Let's close this out. All right. I just wanted to show you this. Whoops. Well, all right. Whoops. Let me try this again. I know I can do this. Okay. And you know that I'm taking a Mancuso class the last week of this month, and I'm so excited. This is the class I signed up for. It's a little out of my wheelhouse, which is exactly why I'm taking it, because I would definitely like to learn how to do something so striking. Believe it or not, there are only 2 color fabrics in this. Just an, oh, iris petals. Iris petals sound great. There are 2 fabrics, just a snow white and a charcoal gray. 2 fabrics, but doesn't your eye say that there are all kinds of graduating fabrics? Okay, so now, let's see. Miss Alberta. Oh, these are so cute. I'll just show you. I'm going to need some new pictures, but aren't these special? I love her table runner, bed runner quilts. And you know, that's another thing to consider, is doing a bed runner, something to kind of brighten up your bed. Or, like I have a homemade trunk at the end of my bed, and that'd be nice to have something to lay across there. This is from Miss Betty Meisner, and who I'm sure is very busy with her garden right now. This was her tribute quilt to Donna Jordan, who we miss. We sure do miss. And I couldn't be more tickled that her husband is now taking up the mantle. I mean, how great is that? I don't have that many pictures right now to show you, because so many I showed you for quite a while. Oh, let me see. I know everyone is busy. Now, I'm going to show these 2 for my Miss Mary, but it's also to remind me that I need to get busy, finish my last block of my English paper piecing. Here is her cutie pie narrow stripped seascape. But here is last year's English paper piecing project that she did, and I need to finish. So I love that. That's so pretty. And then she and I are going to be very busy working on this year's English paper piece pattern. Okay, let me see. Marcia Hahn sent some things. Oh, yes. So here is a wonderful pin cushion that she made. And you notice the fabric matches the fabric out of this fabric basket behind it. So, talented lady. Oh, look at her irises. Aren't they exquisite? And then she was given, I think by her sister, one of her father's wooden hangers. And so what'd she do? She turned it into a clothespin bag, complete with yo-yos. Look at this. That is brilliant. And then here is a fabric box she made too. So there are some really cute things that you can make. Also, I've made one of these fabric boxes. I took the interior seam allowance and made it where it could only have a nice sewn edge right along the very edge, so you could put a pin or a little pair of scissors in that little space in the little seam allowance. So that's a neat little trick. Oh, love that. Then, let me see, I think Miss Melanie, oh yes, she sent a bunch of these wonderful photos. Here is her little Willow taking a nap while Mommy's sewing. And these little pouches that she made for hospital patients. They can carry their chemo bags in them. There's little Willow again with her favorite animal. Little Willow is 3 years old already. When they had an ice storm, this is one of the people who came to repair the electric lines. That is dedication, isn't it? Look at this. Oh my goodness, those dear people. So then she went to a retreat, and these were the quilts they were working on. They're just lovely. Here's a puzzle quilt. How fun is that? Look at this. I love that the colors and the fabric and the pattern are perfect. And then she did tell me that, I think this is Wendy. I'm trying to remember her name, but what fun she is with her mini pearl price tag on her hat. And this is one of those bags that she makes for cancer patients at the hospital. That's really nice. Really nice. And hand embroidered for the bags and the bibs for some of the cancer patients. So that's really nice. All right, now let's see who else. Oh, Miss Melton had some other things besides the wonderful Hagia Sophia. And look at this. Isn't that wonderful? And I just love all the background. I've been thinking lately of doing an interesting background to then put applique in front. And this is magnificent. There's so much to look at. So it's beautiful. Her work is lovely. And I think she's really making a name for herself. So way to go, Miss Melton. Here's a journal cover. Look at that. Isn't that great? Look, find your joy today. Isn't that lovely? She has a website. Oh gosh, now that's Hagia Sophia again. But she has a website, and I've just forgotten. If she's still here, I hope she'll put the name down. I hate when I forget that. I apologize, but I just can't pull the name back up. All right, so I think, SJ, we've seen her banner. And so, okay, guys, let me come back and to the main. And I think we covered it all. So I'm hoping I gave you some things to think about, some project ideas. I will pick next week. I will tell you the date of the class. And we will, the best thing about the format we use is it is Jitsi, and what you can either be seen or not be seen. It's up to you. But we can all just chat and we don't have to type. So I'm very excited about that. And you can come and go as your day works for you. Bring some chocolate or whatever you like to enjoy while you're sewing with friends. And we'll just have a really good time. Yeah, we had a high of 29 people today at one point. That's exciting. Also, I've got to get better at saying please subscribe and hit like, and because that does matter and it helps others find us. And you have my email address that I put in chat earlier. And send your photos to that same email address, ourtimetoquilt@gmail.com. Pretty easy to remember. So send us your photographs of your garden or something beautiful near your home or anything you want to share that makes your life happy. And do something special just for you this week. Here it's going to be hot and humid. It's frustrating. I want to get back out in my garden. It's like, but this too shall pass. I know I will end up getting back out in the garden. But take good care of yourselves and know that you are very special. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. Hold on just a second. I am so tickled that my daughter Becky is so happy. And I've shared with y'all I've shared some of it with you all, but it was first Friday in the city they live in, so they went out for dinner and ice cream for the first Friday celebration. But they're so happy, and you know what? That makes me happy. So, because life sometimes can throw you some curveballs, but it's how you pick up the pieces and go on that makes all the difference. Trust me, I know. Well, have a good week. Take good care of yourself. It's cold in Omaha today. Please send some of that to us. And remember our two Nebraska ladies. They are our moderators, the hostesses with the mostest, and we value them very much. So enjoy your cool weather. Send some here to North Carolina. I'd be thrilled to have some. And have a good week, everyone. It's so great seeing you. You're all the best. Thank you. We will keep Sonia very close to our hearts. To all the new people, send me an email. Join our group. We'd love to have you. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye, everyone.